Hello and welcome to the Sonic Cinema Podcast. My name is Brian Scuttle and thank you for joining me at www.sonic-cinema.com as well as the Sonic Cinema Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe, rate, and review at YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Good Pods, among other places. Just rate and review and share it with other people. We appreciate everybody who listens. You can also check us out at patreon.com/soniccinema. There you will get exclusives. I still have several videos from today's subject to share that I need to get on there. And I'm also 3 episodes deep into my new series exclusively for Patreon subscribers called Leaving the Collection. It's about movies that have kind of run their course in my movie collection. And I give them one last spin and discuss them and why I feel like the time has come to say goodbye to them. That is patreon.com/soniccinema. So Labor Day weekend was last weekend, and that, of course, means that Dragon Con took place in downtown Atlanta. And thankfully, I was able to go this year. It was a bit up in the air with regards to work, but the fact of the matter is, it's like it would have been kind of disastrous for me not to go. I really would not have been happy. I would have felt very resentful of having to work last weekend, and I'm grateful that I didn't have to. I'm also grateful, and I'm going to go and start the episode with this, because one of the things that you notice on Dragon Con, if you follow especially the Facebook groups on Dragon Con, is you will get a bigger picture of what's going on at the con with people who are sharing their stories. And some of those stories are not always great. But one of the things I love about the people who love Dragon Con and want people to enjoy themselves is that they are willing to do things, even if it's just supportive words or actions, to allow people to enjoy the convention and to come out better on the other end. I was the recipient of this year. Sunday afternoon, I stopped to get some food at the Hilton downtown, which had been getting a lot of heat this year for a lot of its policy choices. And I got some food, but I misplaced my wallet. I'm not sure whether it dropped out of my hands. I'm not sure whether I left it someplace. I don't know, but I lost my wallet, and it wasn't until getting ready to go to my 4 o'clock panel that day that I realized that it was missing. So rather than going to the panel, I decided to try retrace my steps and see if I could find it. Went to hotel security, see if they had turned in, and nothing. So I started taking care of cards, limiting cards, and stuff like that. And then as I was calling some of the other hotels to see if it had been checked in, one of them had said, well, you might want to check with Dragon Con Lost and Found. And sure enough, Meredith and I went to Lost and Found, and it was there. Not 4 hours after I probably lost it, it was at Lost and Found, which means somebody saw it and decided to do the right thing and turn it in. And whoever that is, whether you listen to this podcast or not, I'm very grateful for you. It made my job, my life a lot easier. It made my weekend a lot better. It took what was a stressful situation for me and turned it into something that makes me grateful for the Dragon Con family that we have every year over Labor Day weekend, because at its best, Dragon Conners just want the other Dragon Con attendees to have a good time. And the good in the Dragon Con community so far outweighs the bad is just not even funny. And thank you very much if you are if you are listening to this and you're the one who turned in my wallet. I greatly appreciate it. And with that, let us get to the rest of the weekend. This may be one of the shortest recaps of Dragon Con that I'm going to do, because Meredith and I honestly did not do too much. And there were a variety of reasons. I know part of the reason that we haven't really, it seems like over the past couple of years, we've been doing sort of less and less at the con. And part of that, I think, is because of the fact that Meredith's interest in it a lot of times is panelists, celebrities who are there. And, she's not as much into people watching, checking out cosplays and stuff like that as I am. And that's fine. The great thing about Dragon Con is it's got something for every type of nerd and every type of geek. And I think that's one of the things that makes it a great convention. And it's one of the reasons why, if you are a nerd in any way, shape, or form, I cannot recommend it enough. It is between the dozens upon dozens of tracks of panels and the different panelists they have, the different subjects they talk about, and just seeing all of the cosplay, the people enjoying themselves. It's a wonderful experience, and it always has been for me. This year we did one thing differently than we had in the past. We actually went down and checked into the Hilton Garden Inn by the aquarium on Wednesday instead of Thursday. The reason we did that this year was because of the fact that Meredith's team, the Colorado Rockies, was in town for a 3-game series. And so we actually went on Wednesday and Thursday to go watch the Braves and the Rockies play. And the Braves won both games we went to. Meredith took her cousin to the game on Tuesday, and I had a couple podcasts podcast records, one for our Alan Parker episode before this, as well as a guest appearance on Binge Movies Patreon, which, if you are a Patreon of Binge Movies, I cannot recommend that enough. It was a really enlightening conversation on Alex Proyas's Knowing, starring Nicolas Cage. And I hope you check that out. It was a terrific discussion. I always love talking to Jason, and he always inspires me to bring my A game. And I love that about all of the people that I've guested on their podcast. So Wednesday, I first start off by going to see Mom, and she has not gone to Dragon Con since 2017. It just was never, like, I think that last year she basically knew she was done with Dragon Con from a physical standpoint. Then as her mental stays gone down, it's been, it's hard enough to communicate with her. But so I went to go see her, and we watched The Firm. And afterwards, I came back. I finished packing, and we went downtown to check in. And it was great to not have that worry about paying for parking down there right now, and then just going to going to the hotel and getting settled in there before we started our weekend. And Wednesday night we did the Braves game. Thursday we went to go pick up our badges early, which didn't take that long. I think it took us about 10-15 minutes, I think, to get through line. It was really kind of great. And I think that was one of the earliest times I've gotten down there. I mean, it's also been a while since I haven't had a hotel room down there. So we did that. We didn't really do too much because Meredith had dropped her phone. She wanted to get checked out. So we went to a local Verizon store to get that checked out. And then that night, we went to the Braves game Thursday night. So we didn't really do anything as far as the con there. Friday was our first day down at the con. And so basically, one of the main things we were really looking forward to this year, if you're a patron, and I mean, I've mentioned on other social media, but Meredith and I watched the WB show Charmed with Shannon Doherty, Alyssa Milano, Holly Marie Combs, and later Rose McGowan taking over for Shannon Doherty. And it's a fun show. It's an entertaining show. Part of the reason that Meredith was so excited is because of the fact that 3 of the cast members from Charmed were supposed to be there. Brian Krause, who played Leo, Drew Fuller, who played Chris, and Holly Marie Combs, who played Piper. Unfortunately, Holly canceled at the very last minute, but we were committed to going to the Friday panel at 11:30, which was originally supposed to have the 3 of them, so we went ahead and did that. And that was entertaining. Brian and Drew talked a lot about the podcast that they're doing, which is basically going through episodes of Charmed, an episode at a time, and they have guests on there, and so that was a big part of that discussion. I'll admit I was kind of it really would have benefited having Holly there, but she had to cancel at the last minute. But at that panel, they mentioned that they were going to try to get her for the Saturday panel on Zoom. So, we don't really double up on panels too much, but we decided to this year, especially around certain subjects. So we did the Charm panel, and then we basically went down to the Walk of Fame, checked out who was there, saw who was there, got a lay of the land of what that was like this year, and then we went to a couple of photo ops, one of which was Charmed, which was originally supposed to be the 3 actors, but ended up just being Brian and Drew. You look at the picture, you can tell I in no way, in no way, shape, or form look, like a fifth wheel, right? Fourth wheel with Meredith and Brian and Drew. In no way, shape, or form is that possible. But it was still fun. It was a lot of fun, and those guys are really cool. And then Meredith had an individual photo op with Michael Shanks, who was on Stargate SG-1, which is a favorite show of hers. After that, we went back to the Walk of Fame, try to get those pictures autographed, and I had a chance to meet Danielle Pennebaker, who was in the 2009 Friday 13th, as well as Sky High, and has also been on The Flash. And it was really nice to meet her, talk to her a little bit about Friday the 13th, how much I enjoy that one. And, it was just kind of a good time. And after that, we went to go get some dinner at the Metro Cafe, which a tradition like no other, going there during Dragon Con. We did not hit the Hard Rock this year. It just ended up not really working out for us in that one. But that's fine. I mean, Hard Rock is basically what the Hard Rock is. Metro, we actually, tried a few different things. It was actually pretty good. And then Meredith, by 5 o'clock, Meredith is kind of done for the day at Dragon Con. So basically what we ended up doing is I ended up driving we drove back to the hotel, and then I decided to go back out to do some more people watching and to go to a 7 o'clock panel at the Marriott, which was Who Shot First, the Star Wars Special Editions at 25. It was basically going point by point through the special editions, what was good, mostly what was bad, just talking through that situation. And it's funny because the latest episode of Leaving the Collection, I'd thought about this one before the weekend to add it, but honestly, like, I think this panel was kind of a nail in the coffin of adding it to the collection. That's the documentary, The People versus George Lucas. You know, I mean, I'm not a fan of a lot of the changes in the special editions, but at the same time, I'm also, as I've gotten older, I'm more understanding of, you know, I understand and appreciate why George Lucas wanted to do that. Yes, of course I would love to see the original trilogy released in 4K, Blu-ray, whatever format, fully restored. But at the same time, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm basically at peace with that. That panel was pretty entertaining. I asked a couple of questions, had a couple of comments, and that was good back and forth. Did a little bit of people watching after that, and then went back to the hotel for the day. Saturday, we did our usual tradition of driving down as early as possible. In this case, it was around 8 o'clock. And we went to the vendors. We went to go stand in line for the vendors. Saw my former GM over at Town Center. And he happened to get off work, even though it was Cinema Day last Saturday, in addition to the beginning of college football. We went to the vendors for a couple of hours, and one of the things that I do appreciate, and I mean, one thing that we were very conscious of this year was trying not to spend a whole lot of money. And honestly, at the vendors, there really wasn't a whole lot that I wanted. I mean, we got a couple of things. We got some T-shirts we liked. We got a couple pops and stuff like that, but that was about it. After that, we grabbed a quick bite to eat before kind of going off on our own ways. Meredith went to go get in line for the Charm panel at 1 o'clock, which was supposed to have Holly Marie Combs, and then I went to the Marriott right quick for a 12:20 photo op with Danielle Panabaker. Admittedly, and this was actually a day in which I forgot to mention this. This was the day I did my Buster Keaton cosplay, and it occurred to me this weekend how much I really have missed doing cosplay. Since Jay and Silent Bob have been kind of retired for the past few years. And I mean, yes, I could still do Silent Bob, but it doesn't feel right without Jay. Bottom line, it doesn't. So being able to do Buster Keaton, and I did actually get a couple people asking for photos, which still trying to track those down. But that was a lot of fun, and it's something that I really enjoyed doing. So the Daniel Panabaker photo op happened, and then I had to go from the Marriott all the way back over to Western White Creek to get back in line for that. And they did, in fact, get Holly Marie Combs. And that was, there was such a stronger energy to that panel than there was on the one the day before. And it's not a knock against Brian and Drew, but because of the fact that you had one of the regular characters on the show there, you could have a lot of more questions that made more sense for a regular than somebody like Leo, who was not always a regular, and then somebody like Drew was not on the series that much. But one of the funniest things was because of the fact that, I guess Drew has the free Zoom, which only limits you to 40 minutes. So around the 40-minute mark, Holly was disconnected. And that was a really fun and anxious moment as they tried to get her back. Drew and Holly played off of it pretty well. And it was a fun panel. It was really worth it. We saw a friend of ours, Caitlin, who we had met when we hung out with Gigi Edgley's group last year. And that was fun. And then we head back to the Hilton after that. And I had a photo op with Morena Baccarin from Firefly, from Gotham, from V. And that was really nice to be able to do that. We went up to the Walk of Fame. I met Lauren Ridloff, who is from Sound of Metal, was from The Walking Dead, was from Eternals, and she was really sweet. Being able to tell her especially how much I loved Sound of Metal was really gratifying. And being able to, even through an interpreter, because she is in fact deaf, it was really a lovely interaction. And Meredith actually went to go see Shawn Ashmore, who was a very late addition. And at 4:30, she had a photo op with Shawn Ashmore, and that was really cool for her because she's a fan of The Rookie. She's a fan of the X-Men movies, the original X-Men movies, as am I. And so that was really cool for her. We, being able to do our own kind of photo ops was kind of good this year. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, we don't always have to do everything together. So after that photo op, Meredith was once again ready to go. But instead of me driving her back, she actually walked back to the hotel, which is not necessarily a short walk, but it only took her like 20 minutes to get back. So that was really good. And I basically hung around, did some people watching, and I was originally going to go to a 7:00 panel on mental health and content creation, but it was sold out, but was filled, and I didn't feel like waiting to see if a spot opened up. So I basically just went through the hotels, did some people watching, took some pictures and stuff like that until about 8:30 or so, and then I left for the day. And then Sunday we basically took it easy. So Sunday, one of the things that we knew we were going to do was it was going to be a relatively short day. There wasn't really going to be a whole lot we were going to do. And honestly, there weren't really a whole lot of panels I wanted to do. And Meredith actually decided that she was going to hold off on going down on Sunday, just let me have the day to myself there. And this was the day that I did the Batman variant of my Buster Keaton. And remind me the next time to do that when we do not have a mask mandate. Because between the face mask and the cowl, that was a really rough cosplay. And so it was really tough to breathe in there. I actually bailed on that around 1:30 or so. The one panel I did go to that day was making independent films in a corporate world, and it's part of the independent film festival and film track there, which, I mean, they haven't had the film festival for a few years now, but it's on the film track there. And originally Vanessa Wright, who does the Renegade Film Festival, was going to be a speaker there, but I guess she was unable to do that one. But the two speakers that they did have, Lisa Thomas and Takoya Urbina, are two filmmakers who they showed us some of their work, and it was really interesting to see that work and be able to see what they were doing. And so listening to them talk and listening to them talk about not only what it's like as far as trying to get money for independent visions without going the corporate route, as well as being women and people of color, in which Takoya was really fascinating to have that discussion. And and patrons are going to have a little bit of that discussion, and I'm actually going to write a little bit about it for In Their Own League, where I'm actually going to write kind of a retrospective of some of my favorite moments over the years when it's come to Dragon Con, and you can probably check that out sometime this week as well. But that was a really interesting panel. I'm glad I went to it. And then I got lunch, like I said at the beginning. That's where I lost my wallet, at the Hilton. And then after I went to change clothes and get out of the Batman Buster cosplay and basically just go geeking, I went to the Joystick Game Bar, which we were originally going to go to for a little bit on Thursday, but they didn't open until 5 on Thursday, so we were unable to do that day. But I did that for a little bit, checked that out. That was pretty cool. And then made my way up to the Westin, took a rest. I was going to a 4 o'clock panel on The Thing, the 1982 John Carpenter film. And another person I met at Renegade, Christopher Moore, was on that one. But that's before I figured out my wallet was missing. So I bypassed that panel because the wallet was much more important. Meredith walked over and we looked a little bit, and I need her over there in case I didn't find my wallet. But as I mentioned earlier, somebody was gracious enough to turn it in, and I had it by 5 o'clock. So after that, we basically just left for the day. We got changed and got showers, and went to the Mexican restaurant that's a part of the hotel, before going to the plaza for an independent of Dragon Con event from some fans who basically they showed us episodes 2 and 3 of House of the Dragon and the new Game of Thrones series. And so we did that, and they had cosplay. They were really great. And it was fun to watch those on the big screen. And then we went back to the hotel, and that's basically it. So Monday, however, was a very special occasion for me, because we had one panel that we were doing, but it was a very unique thing for us in that it was a panel on the music of Star Wars. But the interesting thing about this one is that I was actually a panelist. A friend of mine, I was a member of the Star Wars at Dragon Con group, and I guess they'd put a call out for panelists. And I'm like, okay, I love the music of Star Wars. I'd love to talk about it. And I had just come off of writing about Natalie Holt's score for Obi-Wan. And so they accepted me as a panelist, and I got really excited about it. We went back and forth and had basic outline of what to talk about. It was a really great experience, and it was one that I've been kind of wanting to have for a while, being a panelist at Dragon Con. But it was really great. It gave me the opportunity to meet at least one person who was on the who I've known on Twitter for a bit, and then actually talk to them in person and meet them in person. And it was just a really lovely discussion about where the music of Star Wars started, where it's at now, some of the influences, who we'd like to see do music for Star Wars in the future, and it was just really wonderful. After that, we went over to America's Mart to the vendors one last time, just to take a look around to see to kind of see if there was anything else we wanted before we left for the day. We had already checked out of the hotel, so we basically went back home, and that was our Dragon Con. The panel was by far the best favorite thing for me. It was by far my favorite experience. Obviously, my least favorite was losing my wallet. But again, that one turned out for the best because of the fact that somebody was gracious enough to actually turn it in, and everything was intact. There's not really much to say about Dragon Con. I love doing this year in and year out, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, the thing I love about Dragon Con going year in and year out is that it always changes. You can do some of the same things from year to year, but it's always going to be different, partially because of the people you're with, partially because of the people you're seeing, and partially because of the different experiences that you realize are going on at Dragon Con. And it's just always such a fun experience, and I always look forward to going. And I think that's it for this episode of the Sonic Cinema Podcast. It actually was about a bit longer than I expected. I was almost, because of how little we did, I was kind of expecting this, I did this, and this. But yeah, it ended up being about normal length for this Dragon Con episode. But thank you very much for listening to the Sonic Cinema Podcast. We've got a great lineup coming for you this fall. We're going to have a first-time guest talking about one of the goofiest, worst movies of the early 2000s. Going to have some great guests coming up in October talking about horror. November, we're going to have discussions on established classics, as well as one of my favorite film scores of all time. And then December, we will be talking about Living Legend and hopefully one of my favorite films of all time. That's it for now. Again, patreon.com/Sonic Cinema. Click, subscribe, rate, and review at Apple, Google, Spotify, Good Pods, as well as the Sonic Cinema Podcast YouTube channel. And always keep up with us at www.sonic-cinema.com. Thank you very much.